And today joining us in studio is 8-year NFL vet and former Browns defensive back, Mr. Monday Night, led the league in interceptions in 1989. Felix Wright, thank you so much for being with us
today. I appreciate it. I'm not a barker. I just practice what I preach.
Hey, we'll leave it up to Hanford. He's got it down.
Wait a minute. Hold on. What the hell you mean you talk about you not a barker? I mean, that's all we did was bark, dog, in the dog pound.
Who barked more smack on the field?
All right, I guess that'd have to be me then.
I
was all the time. Speaking of talking smack, Felix, we were gonna have a guy on today. He called in the last minute, and he canceled, said he couldn't make it, but he's going to be on probably within the next couple of weeks. A guy that we thought you would have liked to chop it up with a little bit, talking about Louis Lips.
Oh yeah,
he was gonna be on. What you been up to, man?
Man, just hanging out. Retired, just working out every day, just trying to keep it together. Well, we work out together at the Y every day.
Are you an elliptical guy like him?
I'm a treadmill guy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but he does. He's come there. He loves he loves the treadmill, Gab. He'll go in there and he'll stay on that treadmill for hours, and then he some days, a few days you lift too.
Yeah.
And then you're a steam guy too.
I'm a steam guy. Yeah.
So he'll go, but he and I we spend a lot of time. We laugh and we joke with each other while we're there, but I could tell you this: we definitely do a lot of working out too. Yeah. So,
I think I recruited. We had a meeting earlier with Kevin Mack and Reggie Langhorne. I think I recruited them over, so they might be coming to work out with us.
Oh wow, you guys got a crew.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, we just absolutely love it there. But what do you think if we'd have had Louis on? You'd have liked that, wouldn't you?
Oh, I'd have liked it because I'd have asked him about those couple picks I had in front of me.
Oh, that's funny.
So what else been going on, my friend?
Not much. Like I said, I've been retired. I worked that beautiful game yesterday, that big win against the 49ers. Now, Reggie Langhorne and I are NFL inspectors, so we're on the sidelines, so we get to see everything that goes on. And we were right there, front and center of that little scuffle they had before the game. Actually, it was right after we talked to you.
Yeah, that's
you
what
think that actually played to our advantage.
Absolutely.
That was interesting because that's something we're going to get into a little bit more because you were right there on the field watching all that action when all that came down. But I think that was Debo Samuels and a couple of guys.
And that number 11. What's his name? EU or?
IU.
Yeah.
Wide receiver.
Yeah, he was talking stuff. He came by and he was talking stuff to Newsom. And then him and Newsom started going back and forth. And then what happened is that, it's the 50-yard line is the cutoff spot. So, San Francisco has this 50. They have this 50 to warm up. San Francisco was waiting for their big guys to come out, and they crossed over that 50.
Oh, speaking of you talking about Greg Newsom, did you see in one particular play in the game, I don't know whether it was IU or who the wide receiver was, but one of them put that helmet right in Greg Newsom's chest. And, man, I'm telling you, I thought he had hurt him. I mean,
really?
Took him to the ground. I mean, just knocked him, almost knocked him out down on one of those plays.
I didn't see that.
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. But we're gonna get into all this a little bit later.
We'll get into it because we got to take our first break. It was tough because I was in the stands. And were you at the game?
I was there.
Okay, so I don't know. Maybe you could see better than me, or I gotta wear my glasses. I didn't notice that, but we'll get into it right after this. Thanks, guys. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. We are joined today by Felix Wright, and we were just talking about, the pregame scuffle yesterday. And then, Hanford, you brought it up. We watched it during the break. We can't replay it now because, copyright. But it was Jawan Jennings who had that bully of a move running over Greg Newsom near the end zone.
Hey, Gab.
What do you think of that?
Gab, Felix, I'm telling you, I saw it. I mean, you guys, and now I'm happy we was able to show it to both of you guys off the air. But Flex, I'm telling you, the guy almost hurt him.
did he get up and get him after it's all said and done?
Get up and get him. He was trying to catch his breath after that hit. He just took right in his chest. That's what the whole thing would. But you know how Greg is, man. He's always talking. Always talking shit out there.
Right, he's feisty. He's like you, though. Don't you see yourself in him?
Yeah, but you got to bag it up.
Right, you do got to back it up.
You got to bag it up, and most of the time, and I like Greg. I mean, I really do. Flex said he's gonna be watching, so I got to watch what I say. But I like Greg. But truth is the truth now, and you saw it. You gonna tell me the guy didn't put that helmet in his chest.
Right. I'd got to make it at least look good.
And see, you have to be careful because Greg can see you on the sideline, and I can see him now coming up to you having a problem with that.
But I've let him off the hook a couple times with his uniform infractions, so he's good.
Oh, okay,
all right.
okay.
So he's good.
So you're on his side about this. I think we should talk a little bit about Felix's story because it is super cool. Just like the Browns being an underdog position, handing the 49ers their first loss of the season, undefeated no more. You were once an underdog, because your career started, well, it almost didn't happen.
Right.
Tell us about how you were undrafted out of Drake and your path to the NFL.
Well, Drake University, we were a Division I school at the time. But we didn't get a lot of recognition, didn't get a lot of publicity, and didn't get a lot of recognition. Not a lot of people came by. So I kind of went undrafted, unseen. Didn't really know what I was going to do, but I did graduate and got my degree as a teacher. And I decided that since I didn't get picked up, didn't have much of a choice, I needed to kind of go back home. So I went back to Missouri and was fortunate enough to be hired in Joplin, Missouri, in the R9 schools, just as a teacher. So I did a little bit of physical education, did a little bit of driver's ed, and health and sex education that I taught. So that was pretty cool. And then I also coached football, girls basketball, and boys and girls track.
Wow, so you stayed busy.
Oh, it was crazy. It was good. And it was, I thought I was going to just live the path of my uncle because I liked what he did as a coach, and becoming a head coach became my goal at that time. And then one day we were at practice, and we were doing pretty good as a football team. I think we were like 500. But I was out one day giving instructions to a cornerback because I was the linebacker coach. But our cornerbacks weren't playing well and weren't technique, so I went back because I played corner in college. And I went back and did a few moves on the corners and covering the wide receivers that came out. And after every practice, coaches had a meeting. And so when we were in there having our coaches meetings, the coaches, a couple of the coaches were just looking at me and said, "Man, why are you still here?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they said, "Well, man, you should be playing ball somewhere." And I said, "Man, we're talking high school." I said, I played collegiate. Yeah, I should be able to shut down a high schooler. And they say, "No, man, you really should give it an opportunity." And I said, man, forget about that stuff. So it was crazy because, after practice, I lived in Carthage, Missouri, because that's where I grew up. It's about 15 minutes away. And on my ride home, I said, "You know what? I remember getting a letter from an agent. Maybe we should give him a call if I can find that letter." So when I got home, I talked to my mom and asked her. I said, "Mom, you know where my school books are from Drake, where I went to school?" And she said, "Yeah, they're upstairs in the attic." I said, "Well, there's a letter in there that I opened up, but I never called the agent." And so she found the book that the letter was in. I looked at it and just basically by fluke just said, "Well, I'm going to give him a call." And I remember his name. I will never forget it. His name was Elliot Lehman. And so I dialed the number. He was in Philadelphia. And I said, "Elliot, this is Felix Wright." He said, "Yeah, I know who you are." And he said, "You never called me." And I said, "Well, I thought agents call players. I didn't know players call agents."
Right.
And I said, well, he asked me how I was doing. I told him I was teaching and coaching. And, if he had any opportunities for me to play ball, let me know. And he says, "I'll see what I can do, Felix." He says that, I know a few people. I'll see what I can do, and I'll give you a call back in the next day or two. And he called me up the next day, and he says, "Well, I got some good news, and I got some bad news." And he says, I said, "Which one do you want first?" And I said, "Well, give me the bad news." And he said, "Well, no," he said, "The good news is that you got two tryouts, but the bad news is they're both on the same day."
Oh.
Yeah. So you got to decide which one you want to go to.
Okay.
So on my teacher's salary, I was saying, well, I'm obviously going to go to the one that's closest.
Yeah.
So the Detroit Lions and the Houston Oilers. So, in Missouri, the closest was going to be Houston. So I chose to go to Houston. So he set it up, and I had probably about a month and a half to kind of get ready for the tryout. But I had stayed active with all the high school kids. Anything I asked them to do, I did as far as running and lifting. So I stayed in pretty decent shape. And actually, the time to come, my uncle took off work, and we drove down to Houston, It was a 2-day deal, and they
Were you
had,
scared?
not really scared, nervous, but and I didn't really know what to expect when we got down there, and when we, it was a Friday Saturday gig, and I was scheduled to work out on Saturday, so I went down there on Friday, and we got into a hotel, and they wanted us to come over just to watch the early group because that group Friday was going to watch the Saturday group, so we got settled in the hotel. And we went over there to see it, and there was like 150 athletes there on Friday.
Oh boy, that can't be too.
Oh, it was crazy.
Yeah,
and
I know.
And so I looked at my uncle, and I said, I think this is a waste of time.
Oh,
I said, I'm not going to get a decent look. You got these many people here. And my
he
uncle,
forgot his name was Felix Wright. And see that's what you forgot. Your name was Felix Wright.
Yeah, and my uncle said, I took off work, and you're going to work out.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, all right.
You better make it count.
Yeah, he said, I took off work, And so we went home that night, stretched. Actually, I remember going over to Rice University and working out, stretching, getting ready. Woke up the next day, went over and worked out, and kind of went through. It's kind of like a combine workout,
Man,
where you
I
go
have
in.
adrenaline listening. I'm nervous listening to
you
this.
weigh yourself, and then you go in and lift weights. And came out on the field and just actually, did a little bit of backpedaling, caught the balls, just did some defensive back drills. And after about 45 minutes, they called us up. The head coach's name was Eddie Biles at the time. And the defensive back coach was Kenny Houston, who's a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. And so what they did is they brought we had about 150 people there for Saturday. And so they brought the group from Friday up as well. So we had 300 guys out there on the football field. And he said, we'd like to thank you for, everybody coming out and, spending your money. Because it was, we had to pay for everything. He said,
really?
Yeah, we had to pay for everything. So I had to pay for my hotel, my meals.
Wow.
That's
gas.
crazy.
Yeah. And they said, well, we appreciate you coming out, and we've picked 3 people. And I was the second name called.
No,
yeah.
Did you stick your chest out?
No, man, I was nervous. I didn't know what to. I didn't know
now,
what.
Be honest. Did you feel like sometimes when you're in the zone for something like that, you're not paying attention to everyone else,
Right?
But you were aware that there were many athletes trying out. Did you have a gut feeling that you were rising to the top?
I had no idea. I just knew that I ran well, and I caught every ball that was thrown to me. It was just one of those deals where I think I was just at the right place at the right time.
Well, see, I think too. You were just when you look at you, you scream athlete.
Right.
You got that size, and I could see you maybe being a coach, but I can't. Can you guys see Felix being a teacher? I mean,
I can. He's got a calm demeanor. I bet he's one of those teachers that you like respect.
Well, I mean, no.
You're the one that freaks out on the kids. Because you
can't.
were a troublemaker yourself, and you're going to freak out on them the way that,
Yes. Yeah. But let me ask you this. When did you, like me, I could tell you this. I knew that I was good enough to be a professional athlete or be on someone's team. I knew that like maybe my freshman year in college. Right. For you, I would guess it came a little bit later. When did you know yourself, or did you at some point know to yourself, say, hey, I'm good enough, I have the talent, I can play in the National Football League?
I can't say that I really knew, but I knew that I was in the lineup halfway through my freshman year. So I know being like a 3.5 season starter, that I would at least get an opportunity to get invited to an NFL camp, but I didn't even get invited. Which was kind of depressing because it was a goal. Because I remember when I grew up in high school and grade school, that's all I used to, because I grew up in a Catholic school, grade school, and I remember we had to go to church, 6 days a week.
I understand.
So we went Monday through Friday and then on Sunday.
Dog, I'm Southern Baptist, so I'm on Catholic, but we all believe in the same God, right. So we understand. Right. I'm with you. But
so I just remember every Sunday, all I would think about is sports in church, and I'd pray about it all the time. That's all I thought about, sports. And I didn't know which sport, because my best sport was baseball, because I was an all-state baseball player. I was just an all-conference football player. And the reason why I ended up going to Drake is because they were the first offer. And my mom and dad says, you get hurt playing baseball all the time. We can't wait until the spring because we don't want Drake to rescind their offer.
Right.
So I took the first offer that came, and that's how I got to Drake.
Wow.
Why do I, when I think of you, you say Cartridge, but I'm thinking of, why Joplin? Why does Joplin come to mind when I say you, I thought that's where you're from?
Because Joplin's where I taught school. It's where my it's kind of the big city. Carthage is kind of the suburbs of Joplin.
Okay.
And this is where the airport is.
Okay.
Because when I flew everybody in for my golf tournament, we flew into Joplin.
Yeah. Oh boy, did we have some fun? You talking about? Hey, Gavin, did you see the smile on my face when he started talking about his golf tournament? We'll get into
you Southern boys and
we'll
your
get
golf
into that a little bit there.
And I would like to know a little bit more about your rapport too, as former teammates. So we'll get right back to that. We're going to take another break and be back with the Hanford Dixon Show after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show with the top dog himself, and alongside us today, Felix Wright. We were just talking about your really cool story, Flex, and just to finish that up a little bit, CFL days to the NFL.
Yeah.
How'd you make the jump? And then I want to talk about you guys playing together. 6 years. That's that's a long time to be pals.
Well, it seemed like a lot longer, That's all of us say, After you tell us about the CFL, big dog.
All right, man. Well, after I was selected, one of three, I had a month before training camp. So, I went back home and worked out and kind of hung out and came back ready to go. In fact, I think it was probably my best training camp I've had in my whole career. Wow. Even better than I had when I had to come back and make the team in Cleveland and in Canada. And, got cut after the third preseason game, which is crazy because we played on a Saturday and the school gave me till that Friday before that game that I had to resign or not because it was getting close to the school year. So I had to resign on that Friday.
And that was your income.
Yeah, that was my income. So I had to resign on Friday, played in that game Saturday, and they let me go Sunday. It was crazy. Oh. Yeah. It was really crazy, but I was really
what was going through your mind at that point?
I was disappointed. I was disappointed and ticked because I really felt that I outplayed a lot of the guys that were in front of me. But I remember Kenny Houston, who was the defensive back coach, he came to me. He said, Felix, I had nothing to do with this decision. I liked you. I wanted you here. He said, but you'll be back in the league. But at the time when you hear something like that, you'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I went back home and without a job, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And the next day I got a call from the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which I had no idea who they were. And they said, Felix, we saw you in camp, and you can come up and play for us right now. And I'm like, okay, where's this at? And they said, Canada. I said, isn't it cold up there?
You was trying to figure out what the hell they was talking about, weren't you?
Yeah. And I'm like, well, okay, well, we'll give it a shot. So they flew me up the next day, and I think I flew up on Wednesday, and I practiced on Thursday, and then Friday we flew out to Edmonton. And Saturday, I was on the football field, starting at the right corner position against Warren Moon.
Wow!
And it was crazy. And I was a new guy, and if you're the new guy, they're always going to pick on you.
Right.
And so Warren's, I think his first 6 passes were at me, and the 6th one I took it back 90 yards.
Damn!
Yeah.
Damn!
Yeah.
So is
so,
that where? Well, you developed he developed the name Pickmaster.
Right.
Now, I don't think he developed that over at the CFL.
No, I didn't.
But maybe that's where it started to come around.
Because that was my first professional interception. So yeah, so I returned that back and finished up the season because we only had like 4 more games in that season, and then I signed a new 2-year deal, made the Pro Bowl up there because they call them All-Stars up there. And,
okay.
And actually, the crazy thing is that in my last year there. We were in the playoffs, and I just thought that I'd play my whole career in Canada. That's just the way I thought it was. But and because I didn't really have any pro scouts coming back to look at me, but we had a quarterback. His name is Dieter Brock, who was pretty good, and the scouts were there to watch him.
Okay.
And we played Toronto in the Eastern Final, which would be the AFC Championship game. they came up to watch Dieter, and I got 4 interceptions that day.
Wow.
One game?
Yeah, one game. Yeah.
Wow.
Had the 5th one in my hands and it dropped
He
out.
had his official Mr. Monday name.
I had 3 now in a game, but
Yeah.
I've never had 4. You
4.
mean to tell me you had 4 interceptions in one game?
4 interceptions in one game, and then we won that game, and then we went to the Grey Cup, which is the Super Bowl up there.
Okay.
And in the first quarter, I got another pick, so I had 5 picks in 2 games. And that following week, we ended up not winning that game, but it was kind of cool to play in the championship game. And the next week, I got a call from 5 different NFL teams, and my agent was actually from Toronto, Gil Scott, and he just we went and worked out for all of them. And he says, I think the best shot is Cleveland. And he asked me what I felt about Cleveland. And I said, well, I think that's probably the best choice because. When Marty was the determining factor because Marty says, Felix, he says, I just got the job halfway through the last season. He says, I'm building my team through the CFL, through the USFL, and through the supplemental draft. Because he got me through the CFL. He got Kevin Mack, Dan Fike, Minifield through the USFL. And he got Bernie through the supplemental draft.
Right.
So he built his team from multiple different leagues to come together as one.
Great players.
And he told me, he said, Felix, if you're good enough, you'll play. He says, and right now you're kind of a tweener where you can play corner and you can also play safety. But he said, but it's going to help. It's going to help us. And so he
but
said,
dog, you knew you could play no corner now. I mean, come on now. Oh, come on now. You could play no corner now.
Who was the nickelback in 85?
The flag. You had somebody over top.
Well,
if you play that, you had somebody over top of you now.
I was still a corner.
But Flex, you could play no corner in the National Football League.
I was a nickelback.
Now, safety, now, that don't come any better than you at safety, but not corner.
We had safeties that are taken care of by Donnie Rogers and Chris Rockins and the boys. Al Gross. So we had them together. But, yeah, so that.
What was it like, you two together?
Oh, it was fun.
I'll tell you, it was great. I mean, we had myself, Felix, we had Minifield. And who was the other?
We had Al Gross, we had Chris Rockins, we had Brian Washington, and then our last guy we had was Thane Gash.
Thane Gash, yeah, that's who I was thinking of. We had Thane Gash, but it was we had a good time, boy. I tell you what, we laid the hammer down.
We laid the hammer down, yeah.
And that's why I also wanted to have Lewis on today because it wasn't Lewis you hit. You put.
I hit Don Beebe.
Don Beebe,
that's Buffalo Bills.
That's who you laid. I mean, just laid him.
They still play that. They still play that on some commercials here and there. Yeah, and that's actually his football card. Yeah, him getting flipped was crazy.
So we've looked at Brown's past. We want to look at Brown's present. Flex, what did you think of our defense against the 49ers?
I think this defense we have is the closest thing we had back to the 80s teams. Actually, they actually could be a little better as far as stats go. As far as players, I had, Hanford and Minifield were Pro Bowlers. Clay Matthews was a Pro Bowler. Bubba Baker was a Pro Bowler. We had lots of Chip Banks was a Pro Bowler. So we had lots of Pro Bowlers back then. But Schwartz has got them going.
Yeah.
And he is he's made a big difference in our I think just the philosophy, the aggressiveness, and he has our players believing. And the number one important thing is that they trust him.
Yeah.
So
I think the defense sparked a lot of the team. You can see them hyping themselves up, in the locker room, hyping the team up in the locker room. And then I think the environment obviously helps. You guys know about the dog pound. What does that do? Our fan base, how does that translate to on-field performance?
Well, I can tell you this, and I was a little bit shocked yesterday at the stadium on Sunday. I was a little bit shocked because I couldn't believe the number of San Francisco players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fans that was in the stand. I mean, all that red. I was like, "What? This is not San Francisco." But it was just crazy, Flex. And honestly, I'm sure you saw it.
Oh, I saw a lot. Yeah, it was amazing. It's probably all the years I've been doing this. The NFL inspectorship. I've been doing it for 23 years. I think this is the most opponent fans I've seen at a game. But then also, I kind of figured it out, is that there's a lot of San Francisco fans in Youngstown.
Oh, okay.
The Bartlows own it. Yeah. So I would think, like Youngstown, they probably half 49ers, half Steelers, half Browns. I don't know how that divvies up, but I just figured a lot of those guys didn't travel from San Francisco. They traveled from Youngstown.
Right. That makes sense. We got to take one more break, and we'll be back with JT Montrose of Montrose Auto Group to give us a little fan reaction, talk a little more Browns. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show with the top dog himself alongside Flex. We got in studio with us today. Really cool to hear about your story. Fun to hear you guys throw it back to your playing days.
What was that you said earlier about Flex? You said Flex.
Oh, yeah. We were working on our scheduling for the show.
Yeah.
I did a dad joke. I said we're flexible.
That was good. I like that.
We are flexible. We got a new guest in studio today. Very engaging, honestly inspiring story. I think that's cool. We should know as Browns fans our Browns past to really appreciate where we've been and where we're going. And it looks like we're going in the right direction, guys, especially after this big win. And we are going to bring in JT of Montrose Auto Group, JT Thompson, actually, of Montrose Auto Group. Give us your game reaction, or if you got any true or falses, I know.
Yeah, no, I got a few true or falses that I want to ask these guys, but yesterday was probably one of the most incredible games. The way that game unfolded, to see that we were still in it, as dominant as watching the 49ers all season has been. I mean, offense, defense, they're incredible, and to see the way that we played with them was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
JT, I have a question. Tell me the truth now. I mean, we were playing the San Francisco 49ers. Did you think that we were going to win, or would you have picked us to win?
No, but especially that first drive. I mean, they came right down the field in the first, 2 minutes and 40 seconds, they scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, they went through us like a knife through butter.
I hadn't even gotten to my seat yet. And I looked up, I was like, when did this happen?
Yeah, no, it was incredible. Though they played well. It was a lot of fun to be there and experience that energy. And, true or false for you guys, was that the best game script that Stefanski has put together since he's worn the Browns hat as head coach? That's
a good question.
That is a good question.
And I'll tell you why, and I'll jump on it real fast, and then you could take it, Flex, because I've been a critic of Stefanski. I've given him a hard time, especially the loss of the Baltimore Ravens, and I have to give him credit right now for this win, because I think he called a pretty good game. I mean, I really do. I thought he had the team ready to play.
Yep.
I thought offensively, defensively, and if you'd have told me P.J. Walker was going to go out, he was going to beat Brock Purdy, I would have said you've lost your mind.
Against that defense, he managed well.
But I give him a lot of credit for that one.
Yeah, I think he said the two signature games was the playoff win in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
But we were kind of expected to play well and to win that game.
Yeah.
But this game here yesterday, there was no expectations to win the game. Everybody I talked to said we're going to get slaughtered.
Yeah.
And I stood up and said, I don't think so, because I think there's many different variables of why the Browns will have a chance. I said, our defense is playing well. I said, they played Sunday night, so they got less rest. They have to travel to Cleveland.
Yep.
And the game starts at 1 o'clock, which is 10 o'clock their time.
Yep.
And I said, that makes a difference. And I says, and if we play turnover-free football, we're going to be okay. And we still won with 2 turnovers.
Right. Well, did you still think that way when Warner picked off P.J. Walker?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I had bad thoughts, but
So real quick, I got another true or false for you guys. So true or false, were you in your backfield back in the late 80s, defensive backfield, better than today's Browns defensive backfield?
Oh,
true or false?
Hell yeah, that's true. We were better. You know what I think the difference is, and again, Flex, you can comment on this. I think the difference is today is that defensive line that they have right now that they're playing with.
Stout.
I think when you have a guy like Myles Garrett that's right there, and Zadarius and Tomlin. I mean, you got guys. I'm telling you, man, they lay it back and they go after the quarterback. And with those guys up front, the way they're rushing, the quarterback can't hold on to the football. He's got to do something with it. He's got to get rid of it really, really fast. But there's no question about it. I mean, our defensive backfield, I mean, we were pretty damn good, Flex.
Hey, I played with they say one of the top corners in history. They say Lester Hayes and Mike Haynes was the number one duel, and the Mendenfield and Dixon were the second best duel. Yeah. Well, and you look at our team and how I base that on how good the 80s teams were as far as the defensive backfield is that Mendenfield and Dixon played in 3 Pro Bowls. So Ward has played in 2 Pro Bowls, or 2 or 3, but the other corners haven't.
Yeah.
So when you say the total package, and then plus I led the league in '89 in interceptions.
That's right. That's right.
So,
that's right.
Don't you forget it. Don't you forget it.
So I don't think we've led in interceptions in quite some time here with the secondary. In fact, I don't know how many interceptions we do have in the secondary, but I don't think it's close to what we had in the 80s.
I think it's 2 or 3 is all we got.
They don't
so
call him
far
Pickmaster for nothing.
That's right.
All right, last true or false. Hit us.
Oh, God. Last true or false. Let's see. How impactful is that stadium with the fans that we had? I know I was listening to you guys talk about the Sea of Red, comparatively speaking, back to the heyday, in those playoff games in the late 80s and 90s with you guys versus yesterday. And
well, it's funny you mentioned that dog pound because
right.
you got 2 dogs up here.
I know.
Right now, talking about Pickmaster and the top dog sitting up here. And, back then, I mean, obviously, it's a little bit different because the fans were closer to the field when we played.
Yes.
And that place was just absolutely crazy. I mean, when we played, people could bring in their own banners, and they were hanging like all over the place, all around the stadium. And they had a little bit more leadway. You remember that old guy called Big Dog? He used to just sit right there in the dog pound, and we would always run up to the dog pound, and we had a lot of interaction with those guys. And I'm telling you, the place was rocking, absolutely rocking.
I think we back in the 80s had a little better, more advantage because our stadium was bigger. We could put 80,000 people in there, and it was just. If you watch some of the films from back in the day, what the announcer says in the beginning, he said it was pandemonium. So that means it was just crazy.
Yeah.
We want that. We want that to become us now, and bring that energy. I thought there was still a lot of energy in the stadium. I was shocked with the number of red jerseys, but hey, Browns fans, they do their thing no matter what. Muni lot, bad weather, predicted to be slaughtered. Everything else, we showed up and we're obviously very loud.
And don't get me wrong, by no means that we agree with you. No way that we're saying that the fans are not loud and they're not doing their thing right now at the stadium. I mean, if they're pretty much drunk before they before they get in. I think the Muni lot opens at 5 o'clock in the morning, and now you have the Muni lot, and then you got West 6. So between the Muni lot and West 6, all of them are there, and I guarantee you they've had a few cocktails by the time they get in that stadium. Were you one that was having a cocktail before you got in the stadium yesterday, Gab?
No. I might have had a couple free drinks.
Okay.
Can't turn them down. All right, well, we're out of time. Thank you to JT of Montrose Auto Group. We're going to do some betting after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. I am calling in an audible, guys. We're not doing betting right off the jump, okay? We're doing a little more Browns because this is the biggest win of the season, and we got to break it down a little bit more. I feel like we should start with PJ, okay? PJ Walker, what did you think of his performance? 18 for 34, 192 yards, 2 interceptions. All things considered, what did you think about his play?
I was a little shocked. I was a little shocked of how well he played and how composed he was out on the field because he was playing against a team that was pretty much number one in defense. I mean, obviously they got Nick Bosa, who is just a phenomenal pass rusher. Obviously, I think he had a sack or something, but they were pressuring him all the time. And then you got Warner, who I think is one of the best middle linebackers in the National Football League. And obviously, they got LaHorn. I mean, some good corners. They got a pretty good defense. And I thought it was all over when Warner came out right off the bat in the first quarter, and he intercepted P.J. Walker. And I said, oh, man, we're in for a long, long day. But you know what? We kept hacking away thanks to the defense. We kept it going. And what happened was the defense shut them down, and the offense got rolling after a while. We were able to run the football a little bit. I thought Kareem Hunt really came on. But, guys, we got to give it a lot of credit. I mean, we gave PJ an outlet, and that outlet during the game was Cooper. I thought Cooper just was outstanding, went over 100 yards, 109 yards or something like that, whatever the number was. He played extremely well, flex. So I thought with that outlet, PJ was able to keep it going a little bit.
Well, I liked it that they started him and they brought him in because, of what happened the week before with DTR. I just don't think that he was ready yet. And I thought bringing in a veteran, he'd been around for 4 years. I saw him play down in Carolina last year, and I thought he did a pretty good job there. So I liked the experience when he came in with. And when my attitude coming into the game is that basically just if he can just do no turnovers, I think we're going to be okay because hopefully Stefanski puts him in position to be successful. And I think for the most part, with the play calling, it happened. But, there was some little shaky calls there at the end of the game that I wasn't real happy with. But I think overall, he did a great job, and he did what was expected of him. And like I said, he's a 4-year guy. He's not a rookie. So.
Well, it was just so many penalties in the game.
Yeah. It was just too many. I think wasn't that the most flags of any game this season?
It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And what PJ did, I thought was really smart of him. He said he jumped on the phone and he called Jacoby Brissett. And he called him and he talked to him a little bit. He said one advice that Jacoby told him, it was about Cooper. He said, if Cooper wins at the line of scrimmage, just throw him the ball. And they got quotes in there, just throw him the ball.
Really?
And obviously, guys, we saw Cooper he put one of the defensive backs, made him fall down.
Yeah.
And he had a big catch. And Cooper's not as fast as he used to be, but he still can get open. And then another play on the sideline where he went up. His vertical right now is still pretty damn good because you see him how high he got up on near the sideline over there on another defensive back and made a great play.
Right.
Yeah. So I got a question for you, Flex. Switching over to the defensive side. Obviously, you played safety, and I want you to listen to this. Talking about Warren Thornhill, he obviously this guy. Coming into our football team just brought a lot of wealth and experience to the defense, and especially to that safety position. And this guy, you look at it, he played in 3 Super Bowls. I think he's got 2 Super Bowl rings. And here's what he said about the defense. Listen to this. He said, this defense is the best defense that I've ever been a part of. He said, I've been to 3 Super Bowls, and if you're making it to the Super Bowl each and every year, you have to have a good defense. But this team is unbelievable. And he's saying that this defense right here is the best that he's been on. And not only just him, one safety's playing well, I think both safeties are playing extremely well. What do you think about the safety play?
Oh, I think the safety play's been outstanding. I've been real proud of them because, that's the position I look at.
Right.
I look at the secondary. I think they've been very physical. I think that the plays they had an opportunity to make plays, they have. I think Delpit's got an interception. I don't know if Thornhill's got one, but I remember he got one in Kansas City in that preseason game, which was really impressive, and he scored on. So I know when the opportunity's there, they'll come up with the big play. But I like their physicalness. I think that's what safeties have to be. They have to be physical. They have to set the tone when they come up and hit the receivers, because if they come up and hit the receivers, then it'll make them think about the next time they come out there. And you'll get that drop when you need that drop.
Well, really quick, what did you think about, speaking of hitting the receivers, what did you think of the call that kept a drive going for us on the San Francisco safety that came up and hit?
Totally a makeup call.
Makeup call.
Yeah. There were so many bad calls against the Browns that yesterday. I think that was a makeup call, although I was right there when it happened. And he threw it quick, so there was no hesitation when the referee threw the flag. But it's a different NFL that we played in.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a great hit for us.
And he hit him with his shoulder.
He hit him with the shoulder.
He didn't lead or anything, so I couldn't believe it.
The same exact play happened last night in the Sunday night game. And they picked up the flag and said
it was not a call, and that was a brutal hit.
That was brutal.
Yeah,
that was brutal. It was worse than the one yesterday.
All right, I'm throwing a shoulder into you. We're running out of time. Okay. It's good though because we got a great guest on, and it's
we can go forever.
I know you guys can go forever, and it's been really special having you on. Thanks so much, Flex. We got one more break in just a few minutes to wrap it up. The show has flown by, and it's been awesome. We'll be back right after this. Thanks for watching as we wrap up the Hanford-Dixon show. Okay, fellas, Browns defense, to wrap us up here, held the 49ers to 215 yards when they've been averaging over 400 a game. And our defense have allowed just 1,002 yards this season. That's the third fewest since 1970. We've been talking about how elite they are. But as we look ahead to the Colts, we've got a couple strong running backs in Zach Moss. And who else we got? Jonathan Taylor. Okay, so how does the defense slow down these guys as we look ahead?
I don't think it's going to be a problem for us. I really don't, because when you look at our defense, it all starts on the defensive line, and with those guys, they created new line of scrimmage. What I mean by that is, say, for instance, when if the ball starts on the 40, and when those defensive linemen are off the line of scrimmage, they have pushed that line back to like the 38, so they're already in the backfield.
Yeah. Well, I believe in Schwartz, and I think Schwartz will put those guys in great position. And we played against some say the best running back last week against McCaffrey. So we shut him down. We'll shut these guys down as well.
Yeah, and they're going to have their backup quarterback in Gardner Minshew. So hoping we can have a dominant performance.
He'll throw it to us, too.
Mm-hmm.
He'll throw it to us.
Yeah, well, speaking of throwing it, let's do one bet before we head out. Browns at Colts over under 39.5. What do you think?
Ooh. Over under 39.5. I'm going to say.
The Colts are averaging 23.3 points per game and allowing 25.3.
I'm going to say under. I'm going to go with the under on that because, again, you look who's that quarterback for them. So I'm going to say under.
Well, because I work for the league, I'm going to say Browns win.
Browns win. He just called Browns win.
I like that.
And we like it. Playing it safe
that.
over here. Felix, thank you so much for coming on the show. I thought
We appreciate it, dog.
Super engaging. Love to hear your story.
Had a good time.
And we'll be back with the Hanford-Dixon show. Wait. Yeah, get that barking going. And we'll have you back, Flex. Thanks so much.